Hey everyone, Scott here to discuss The Woman King, starring Viola Davis, Tusom Bidu, forgive me if I said that wrong, Lashana Lynch, Sheila Atom, and John Boyega, directed by Gina Prince Bythewood. Now, I have seen this movie before in theaters, but will it be the same as I think of it now? Let's get into it and find out. In the West African kingdom of Dahomey in 1823, General Nanishka, who is the leader of the all-female regiment of warriors and played by Viola Davis, and her army, the Agoji, forgive me if I said that wrong, go to the liberates, Dahomey women who were abducted by slavers from the Oyo Empire and saved them from the slavers. And this piece of action was violent, but it felt realistic, as that could have happened back in the day. I wouldn't know because I wasn't alive during that time. While one of them, Izogi, played by Lashana Lynch, has some fingernails that reminded me of Freddy Krueger, and that was cool. And the action scenes were a good kick-ass time. While I really like these characters as they're relatable in their badass way, and when they get back to their village, Izogi tells a little boy it's okay to look at them despite their king doesn't want them to. While we're introduced to Nawi, played by Tuso Bidu, who is a strong-willed girl who was offered by her father to the king because she refuses to marry men who would beat her. And is this how women were treated back then? Because I don't want to live in that world. As it was a powerful scene, and the acting was powerful as well. Now he lives with the badass women, starts training as one of them, as we get introduced to King Gizu of Dahomey, played by John Boyega. As Nanishka tells Gizo, about what happened in the Oyo Empire, and he is provoked to prepare for an all-out war with the Oyo, while Gizo's queen is against Nanishka, as she begins to train a new generation of warriors to join Agoji and to protect the kingdom, led by Alenza, played by Sheila Atim. And the cinematography is very good, as this is a very well shot movie from start to finish. Now he befriends Izogi, and she also reveals to Nanishka that she is adopted and shows a scar on her left shoulder, shocking Nanishka, as the production design and set decoration was tremendous in this whole movie. As Nawi starts training with Nanishka by picking herself a weapon and learning to handle it, as she tries to cut off a mannequin head, but is unsuccessful at it, as people laugh at her, and while Nanishka shows her how to really do it. And Nawi jogs with the other girls and gets tired after a while, and she trains for combat by Izogi, for example, as men versus women competition about who can handle a stab for long enough. Looked rather brutal, but it shows Lashana Lynch just a badass after Captain Marvel for Marvel and No Time to Die for James Bond, as she was in both of those movies, as she's a good actress as well as a badass. Now, Wee performs a stunt that is dangerous and takes the blame for it, as Nanishka tells her to be prepared and takes her sword away, while Izogi tries to calm Nawi down as she tells her to take a drink, in which she seemed awfully young, but the actress was 30 when filming this, as I was going with it, and the acting is very good, don't get me wrong, but as an American, I had a hard time understanding what they were saying, so I turned on the subtitles 35 minutes into the second viewing of the movie. And I'm glad I did, and I'm also glad I watched this twice for this review, as Nanishka dreams of danger coming towards the new recruits, as they're not prepared, as she walks out after telling Amanza that she sees Naui fighting with her sword. And next day comes, and the new recruits dance for King Gizo until some guests come to their village, and Viola Davis does turn in some good work, and John Boyega was great after his American accent in the Star Wars sequels. I've seen this guy in person before, as he has an accent from England, but his accent here is very good. Nanishka heavily breathes after hearing about how she needs to prepare for war. Meanwhile, Portuguese slave traders, led by Santo Ferreira, and accompanied by the half-Hominian Malik, arrive as part of an alliance with the Oyo, led by General Oba Aid, who tortures the villagers as Nanishka and her soldiers come in, and Nawi eyes on Malik as they come to General Aid for war, as Nawi sees Nanishka fighting the general with more men coming in, and Nawi saves her life by trapping the soldiers. And they get out to the river together, and Nanishka talks with Nawi about not disobeying her orders, and Aminza tries to reason with Nanishka about Nawi, and the shots in that scene looks beautiful. I will admit that out of the way. Nanishka talks with Queen Gizo while Malik is encountered by Santo about Nawi, as Nawi encounters Malik while the latter is bathing, and the two become friends, and the chemistry between them was very good as Nawi sees the cross as she was discovering Jesus for the first time ever. And we move on to the final training where Nawi graduates as she becomes a warrior, and Malik is impressed with her training, and the costume designing was good, that it made me think the audience is in West Africa with them. But at the same time, I'm thinking this is Disney's Pocahontas, where a stranger falls in love with the country, and the people, as I was reminded of that, as well as Avatar, the James Cameron film. Shortly after graduating from training to become a full-fledged Goji, Nanishka talks with Nawi, and Nanishka realizes Nawi is her daughter and talks with Amenza and wonders why is she like her, and she's met her daughter, that is Nawi. Meanwhile, Malik talks with King Gizo about what General Aid's plan for West Africa, which will be told by Malik to Nawi later in the film. And Malik asks Nawi to come see him that very night. And this is a very good realistic movie that is very well told for plot and history purposes of the West Africans. And this is well told by director Gina Prince Bythewood. Nighttime comes, and Nawi sneaks off to speak with Malik and learns about that the Oyo are planning to attack, as she reports this to Nanishka, who tells her off for her recklessness, and amidst a heated argument between the two, Nanishka reveals that in her youth she was captured by Oba, raped, and impregnated, and after giving birth to her daughter, which happens to be Nawi, because it was a little obvious based on what she saw in Nawi, and based on Viola Davis's acting, Nanishka embedded a shark tooth in her left shoulder before giving her away, which was very sad in so many levels. Nanishka helps extract the tooth, confirming that she is her biological daughter, and I knew it was coming, like I said, just because of Viola Davis's acting in that scene, which, don't get me wrong, it is well done. And when she talked about it previously, as Nawi has the shark's tooth since she was a baby, but at the end of the day, it was great acting, a little obvious, but great at the same time. Nanishka leads the Agoji in an attack on the Oyo, and this attack is successful, but Oba Aid, I think is his name, escapes, and this piece of action sequence was awesome and well choreographed. Nawi, Fambe, and Izogi are captured as Nawi's advisors. Fumbe to escape and report the others' fate as Nanishka, as Nawi and Izogi are caged up, with Nawi finding Izogi injured with a broken arm, and Nawi tries to tell her the bright side as she's a tough warrior, and Nawi fixes the broken arm as Fumble finds a farmer, and takes her to the village as she reports Nawi and Izogi's fate, and Gizo prepares to bestow the title of the Woman King, his partner in equal ruling Dahomey, upon Nanishka, but refuses to authorize a rescue mission for the captive Agoji, which feels typical, but I'm just going to say it, this movie is well done and well made. Meanwhile, Izogi is killed in an escape attempt, and Malik buys Nawi to protect her while Nanishka confesses her demons with her, And she tells Aminza as she defies orders and sets out with a group of like-minded warriors to rescue the captives. And they come to their rescue, which was great, which works great too. The chaos allows Nawi to escape and rejoin Nanishka, while Malik frees several other slaves who drown for Rira, and Nanishka kills Oba, in single combat, and the triumphant Goji returns to Dahomey, where Gizo privately and briefly admonishes Nanishka for disobeying him before crowning her the Woman King. And after the festivities, Nanishka and Naui privately acknowledge their familial relationship, and this was a beautiful movie as it was beautifully made. And how well did this movie work? Very well. And why is that? Let's talk about it in a rating. I'll give this movie a 8.6 out of 10. I do like the action scenes throughout the movie, and I really like these characters as they're badass, and they're relatable in a badass way, and the acting in this was powerful, and the cinematography is very good, as this was very well shot from start to finish, and the production design and set decoration was tremendous in this whole movie. Lashana Lynch is a badass after this, and this is her best work compared to Marvel with Captain Marvel and James Bond with No Time to Die, while Viola Davis turns in a great performance, as she's turned in great work before. John Boyega is great with an African accent, despite he's from England. But as an American, I had a hard time with what they were saying with their accents, but I was very glad I turned on subtitles 35 minutes into my second viewing, as this is a very good movie. The shots are absolutely beautiful to watch throughout, and the chemistry between characters was very good, and this is a solid recommendation for this movie, as the costume designing was so good, it made me think we were in West Africa with them, as well as the audiences viewing this movie. And I was getting vibes from Disney's Pocahontas and James Cameron's Avatar, where we get an outsider falling in love with the country as well as the world, and falls in love with it as well as the girl from the area. But this is a very good realistic movie that is very well told for plot and history reasons for the West Africans, as this is well told by director Gina Prince Bythewood. So I'd like to thank you guys for joining me for this review. And until I don't think we'll get a sequel to this, but until then, fight, warriors, fight.